Well, welcome back everybody to a very chilly morning here in North Florida. My name's Andrew and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. Today is an episode that I have been waiting on for months. It is finally time for us to install our septic system. Now this video is going to go over a couple of days, then we have to get inspections, but I'm going to show you the process as best I can. So for starters, before the company gets here that's going to install the septic, I have to dig up to where the septic or sewage lines exit the house, which happens to be where I left this flag, and then we're going to figure out the tie-ins and how we're going to run everything. So what is very fortunate about that area out there in the yard, that sand, that's the only spot on the property that I have that kind of black looking sandy soil like that, and it drains really well. Actually, what the house is on right here starts turning into a clay sand mixture. It packs really hard and doesn't drain nearly as well, so it's the perfect spot for the septic tank. It passed soil test no problem, and we just had 2 inches of rain 24 hours ago, and they just dug down several feet, not a drop of water anywhere. That's how quick that soil drains out there, so it's perfect for a drain fill. All right, so day one of the septic is done. Plenty to show off and talk about, but we're not done yet. So as I shown y'all this morning, this is where the septic exits the house right here. We're gonna put a clean out so we can run it both directions, and that'll kind of cover this area right here. All right, so the septic comes out and sweeps, and now it is going downhill the entire section to where the tank and the drain field is gonna be. So yes, this is a long run, although this is not that uncommon. And there is a specific reason why we have ran this far and why we came out of the house the way that we did and not down here. A lot of y'all are new to the channel and haven't heard me talk in quite a while about we are eventually going to build a back deck out here, a fire pit patio in this area, and we're going to do an above ground pool that we're going to actually dig down and get level with the deck. So we knew that we did not want any septic lines, anything in this area out here. We specifically spaced everything a minimum of 50 feet away to allow for possibly a 20-foot deck, maybe smaller, and up to a 30-foot pool. So we wanted this area not bothered at all. So that is why we are set up over here. So as you can see, we have 4-inch sewer line coming all the way down, and it comes into the first compartment of our tank. I do not know how big this is. I want to say I've seen over 1,000 gallons on the side, if anybody's curious. Just not 100% sure. I'll have to ask the guys when they come back. So the way this works, if you're not familiar with a septic tank, your solids, liquids, everything come into this first chamber. There is a wall that goes all the way across here in the middle. So technically your first chamber catches the majority of your solids. So as it fills up, it's got some spillover holes, and then the liquid goes into the second tank. I know y'all ain't gonna be able to see, but there is the solid divider right there. So you got a much larger section over here to catch those solids. Now, like I said, some paper and solids will make it over here. So as this compartment fills up with liquids, it works its way up into the bottom of this pipe before heading out to the drain field. And there is a special filter right here that allows water up but catches any debris, and this should always be clean anytime that you get your septic pumped. So the ultimate goal of the tank: catch solids, allow liquid to pass, be filtered, and then you're left with your actual water runoff to what's called a drain field. Now, drain fields are going to be different depending on where you're at, your soil type. Before you can ever do any of this, you have to get what's called a soil test or a percolation test. So actually come out and drill and bore samples of soil and basically test the filtration of it, and that determines drain field sizes and a whole bunch of other things. And believe it or not, this drain field right here is actually oversized for our house, but we did that for a reason I'll talk about in just a second. So long story short, the liquids come out of the tank. They then separate into 3 different drain fields, and these are what's called infiltrator panels. So they're relatively hollow. You can lift them up. As you can see, nothing to it. It's just a piece of plastic here that keeps dirt from caving in and creates a hollow cavity all the way around for the water to run and then naturally filter through the soil. So the ultimate goal is just liquids out here, never any solids, and you've got plenty of runoff in all these different directions for the ground to absorb before it would ever potentially back up and back the tank up and your house. Okay, so ultimately it's up to the sanitation department to determine what size drain field that we need. So when you apply for a permit, you give them your house plans, you give them your heated and cooled square footage, and then they tell you, hey, you've got to be a certain distance away from, well, a pump and well water. You got to be a minimum of 100 feet or quite a bit further than that. Keep in mind, our well is 160 foot deep. That's a tremendous amount of soil infiltration. Never any concerns of a drain field or any septic making to our water system. And then they tell you, hey, you need a certain size tank, certain size drain field. Ultimately, it's the drain field that truly matters for your certain heated and cool square footage. So I needed what was called a 375 square feet of drain field. That's the actual percolation out there, 375 square feet. I think that covered me up to, I don't know, 17 or 1800 square foot home. We have a 30 by 50 or 1500 square foot heated and cooled. They don't do open porch area. Now here's where things gets really picky. Keep this in mind if you're building a home and looking at doing a septic. If I were to do anything to this open area of porch, and I mean anything, if I were to screen it in, that's automatically considered as part of your square footage that you have to calculate into your drain field out here. So as long as I leave this open, this does not count toward our home. That's critical, and we do always plan to leave this open. But it blew my mind to learn that even a screened in porch would then require us to upgrade our septic system. Now what you're looking at out there, that is 500 square feet of drain field, which qualifies me to do a heated and cooled home up to 2,250 square feet. Keep this in mind. If you ever think that you may add on to your home, we know that we most likely are. Now is the time to upsize your system. There's no penalty, no nothing for doing that. You can oversize. But if you were to add on down the road, one of the first things they're going to look at is, can your septic system, is it designed to handle a larger home? If not, well, guess what? Now you're digging up, paying all the extra money, digging up your drain field, adding on to your system. Who knows what all you're going to change? Pulling permits, getting checks, a nightmare. I think it cost me an extra $800 to $900 right now to go ahead and add the extra 125 square feet of drain field, digging, and the panels itself. Now's the time to do it. So that allows us to add 750 square feet to this home, which is 50% more. That's plenty, more than we'll ever need. So for those of y'all that are new and that don't know, that we do have plans to potentially add on to the back side of this house one day. I specifically framed that window out for a 36-inch wide doorway. I have removable jack studs in the walls. I've really tried to set this up to where it'd be an easy add-on. This is also our septic line. We've already got it properly sloped into the house, so if we ever add another slab and add on out here, we could easily put a bathroom right here. Our septic is already sloped into the home and ready to go to the septic system. Right inside this wall is hot and cold water lines as well. So very easy to add on. And let's just say if we decided to add on another 12 foot deep back here, so you're talking 12 times 30, 360 square feet. We could really add on a lot more back here before we ever maxed out our septic system. All right, so I just got a call that the septic crew is on the way to cover everything up. And we've got to rush because we have a lot of rain that'll be here in just a couple of hours. But one thing that's critical that I need to do before everything is covered up, take some quick measurements. Jot it down in a little notepad and keep it in a file cabinet in my shop where I keep manuals and everything else. Because while it looks easy to spot everything now, once it's covered up and many years later comes time to dig all this up, I don't want to have to be out there in the yard for a while searching wherever the septic tank lid is, for example. So, a couple easy ways to do this. We are going to have to go at an angle. So, I brought my little angle finder right here. We'll set that up, and I've got my 200-foot tape. And I'll just run the tape out to the lid, get me a measurement, and see at what angle I came off of this post right here, because this post will always be here. All right, and just like that, septic is complete. So he did an excellent job on that excavator packing out that drain field, because here's the thing, that has to settle for a long period of time, and technically I don't need to be in that area with my tractor, so I could not go out there and smooth it with the bucket or with the box blade, because, well, you don't know exactly where every chamber is. So he did an awesome job raking that with the boom arm and bucket. So I've got a little bit of dirt left. That's to be expected after you get done putting your system in like this. So I'll use that to kind of start putting up around the house. That's better dirt to get grass growing anyways. And this area I can drive on with the tractor and box blade. I'll get it smoothed. Now, as y'all can see, it's starting to rain right now. We have a cold front upon us. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow and be nasty weather. So we were not able to get to gutters in this episode. We had to dog it off. They barely got this covered up before this rain is starting. All right, so what that means is I may actually attempt to do the gutters myself. We're going to have another episode. Thinking I've got an attachment for the tractor that'll work, but long story short, you see a lot of pipe over there and some fittings. I'm going to try to trench and run these gutter pipes underground, run them out to this low area right here, and use some special pop-ups and diverters that I've ordered. And we're going to try to get the water away from the house looking good and attempt to do it ourselves. Otherwise, my friend has offered to come back with the excavator, but we'll wind up having to dig a whole nother trench. That's just more yard to seed, more dirt, and I don't want to waste his time. So right here where that little flag is, I have 2 clean outs. I forgot to show that before we covered it up real quick, but there is a sweep going to where I can clean out toward the house. Also a sweep where I can clean the pipe out going to the tank. And we did 2, I believe it's 2 45s out here and made a really long gradual sweep. So water and, well, you know, unmentionables will have a nice flow out instead of just a hard 90. So sadly, my friend is quite ill right now and was not able to make it over here. I wanted y'all to meet him on camera. He's an awesome guy, does excellent work. He's that kind of guy that'll bend over backwards for you. Real reasonable, fair on prices, and like I said, you're going to get what you pay for. So if you're in the North Florida area and interested in a septic system, I'm going to put his information down in the description. They did me an amazing job. The inspector come out yesterday and said another quality job by these guys. He says they always pass, they always do good work. So hopefully you enjoyed the septic system. One step closer to getting the house done. Thank y'all so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.